Saul Bites People. Chapter 1. Hangover. I was living that sweet college kid life of attending more parties than classes and drinking more beer than water, but then one night my flatmate Saul returned from his weekend celebration of pubs and clubs and found me on the floor of our apartment with a bullet-sized hole in my forehead and a bunch of blood all around me. I can only guess Saul's reaction. I was after all beyond the definition of blacked out, but he was such a laid-back dude that he might not have even blinked when he saw me there. Either way, the conclusion to that incident was that he fed me his blood and bam, I was back in the world of the living. I awoke agonizing a headache and damning my throat for having transformed itself into sandpaper and my eyes for tearing acid, and for the moment I couldn't have cared less about my miraculous rebirth. To be fair, I did not remember being shot in the head, and waking up on the floor like that was rather usual when you partied like I did, so I thought that what had put me down was alcohol, not some psycho waving a pistol. Blinded by those onion tears and praying to the Lord to make the dizziness end, I rolled myself to my side and what do you know, Saul was sitting right there, on the sofa. He was clearly enjoying my discomfort, showcasing his 9 out of 10 dentists approved teeth that were so white they were blinding. That sneer. If only he had been closer by, I would have gladly knocked a few of those teeth loose. But that was how we were. That was our tomfoolery. Whenever either one of us did something embarrassing or stupid, the other one was always there to laugh and torture. To be honest, it was an adorable we are friends kind of practice, but not so much when you were hungover. There were horrors happening inside my body, but looking at that grin, it couldn't have been more clear that my suffering was only at its start. I couldn't remember anything about last night, mind's way of protecting you from your stupidity if you asked me, but Saul was about to fill me in, there was no doubt about that. Well, good morning, sleepyhead. Fun night? He started. I groaned something I can't remember and closed my eyes. The lights in the ceiling were agitating me even more. Or night, I guess. Saul continued. I could hear him hop off the sofa and tiptoe toward me. What's the time? I groaned like some dog, the words scraping my sore throat. It's like 4 a.m. I could sense him staring me down, but I kept my eyes closed still. He continued. Really should have come out with me. You clearly don't do that well on your own. I stayed silent, there was no defense to my situation. Sometimes one just had to endure. Saul walked to my other side, still on his toes. Quite the headache. I groaned again. Saul chuckled. It'll get better in a moment, like hell it does. I forced more raspy words. Stop pretending you know more about booze than I do. Saul didn't respond but circled around me. What does it smell like? I didn't really care about smells at that moment, but he did get me to activate my nose a bit. There was a smell, that freaking smell I hated beyond any other, blood. A cold bolt of fear struck through my body and adrenaline pumped into my hands, making them shake. I touched my face, my ribs, my gut, but I felt no gashes or pain. I hadn't been in a fight, thank God. But there was blood? I reopened my eyes. The light wasn't as bad anymore. I let my head fall to my side and forced my pupils to the ground. There it was, a dark red spot on our carpet. You're fine. Saul called. I could hear him land on the sofa once more. You're in transition. I didn't know what that meant. It was annoying. The hell you're talking about? Transition? Yeah. Transition, into a vampire. Yeah, okay, I spat, moving my hand to the back of my head, no bumps that I could feel. Try the forehead, Saul said, casually. I did, and I felt a hole, a deep one. What the? I jumped up, suddenly the hangover was irrelevant. Saul tossed me something and I caught it. It was a little mirror. And I saw myself. In my forehead was a dark red dot, about half an inch wide, and around it, running down my cheek and over my left eye, the dried up remnants of a river of blood. And look at your teeth, Saul said. I opened my mouth at once, wondering in terror if I'd be stared back by a hockey player's smile. But the teeth were all there. For a moment, the relief made me forget about the hole in my head. Boo! Saul shouted into my ear, showing up right behind me. And my teeth, they changed, they became longer and sharper, like tigers. He took back the mirror and, using it to correct his dark black hair, started walking around the room. Don't overthink it. No point in going mad over how and why. Best to just say thank you and move on. Say thank you? What the? For saving your life. For turning you. You'd be dead as disco, weren't it, for me? What? Yeah. That bullet hole in your head? I didn't put it there. You really should try to stop pissing people off, and stop sleeping with married women. My head was spinning, nothing Saul was saying made any sense. And it didn't help that he was so casual about it. After all, I had just woken up in a pool of blood. How did you? What the hell happened? Saul sighed. He pulled his eyes from his own reflection and glanced at me sideways. Someone killed you last night, he said, and I brought you back to life. I'm a vampire. And so are you, now. Okay, so you're a vampire? Yeah. He returned to his reflection. And I'm just supposed to accept that. You'll have to at some point. Damn, I hate this part. It's so boring. Always, you were joking or that's insane, every time. I was hoping you could just accept it, save me this conversation. He walked right up to me and put his hands on my shoulders. That hole isn't a trick, you were shot in the head. Your fangs aren't a trick, you need them to suck blood. You're a vampire. If you don't believe me, just pretend like you do. That'll be much less annoying. But this makes no sense. Saul sighed loudly. You know, you're a lot whinier than I thought you would be. Well, excuse me. You're telling me to just accept that? Saul put up his hand, and for once the gesture made me shut my mouth. He continued as if forced into showing patience, like one does when talking to a child. You were a human being. You were killed by someone for whatever reason. I, a vampire, a friend, saw that you were dead, and I brought you back. Could I make this any clearer? You need a guidebook or something? I smiled. Suddenly the whole situation, true or not, felt comical. It was like I was having some odd dream, and why bother trying to find logic in a dream? What I need is a drink, I said, defeated yet smiling. Saul smiled back. That I can work with. He scanned me from head to toe. But you should probably change and wash your face. Even at 4 a.m. this look is a bit much for humans.